just like, I've got this idea.
I play the viola.
Fiddle.
It's the guitar. I can add different effects.
And violin.
I play percussion.
Ambisonics.
Cello.
Double bass.
As a trumpet player, I play the trombone.
For me, Propellor is the first ensemble where I've worked in a really cross-genre way, so with jazz musicians and folk musicians and classical musicians all within the same ensemble, so it's really special, I think.
There's a total cross-pollination of genres, isn't there? And we've all been invited to add our own voice to the group, and more than you usually are in chamber ensembles.
In chamber music groups I've worked in before, it's been a lot about trying to be the same, and I love how this is about
you can be yourself.
Being different.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting group of people in that respect, because everyone does have a really strong individual voice.
But I feel as though it's been shaped around us as Jack has learned what we're like as players.
But the writing just has space in it for everyone to shine.
I think we all come from different backgrounds, and I think some of us have played with each other before, but this time we're actually expanding to other types of music. I've done something with electronics, but I think in this project, for example, the use of live electronics is so fundamental.
Having all these electronic elements and things that aren't coming from acoustic instruments, it's really interesting to be able to place them around the room, and especially with all the foley that Joe's playing, things, rain effects and things like that. It creates a really nice immersive environment, rather than playing back sound like you would on a pair of headphones or a pair of speakers, which is essentially a flat plane. It lets you be in the environment, much like going to a place rather than looking at a photo of it.
We've got Bethan Lum's illustrations and John Beattie's photographs in the visuals that were prepared for this show, and because the screen's quite an unusual shape, it's circular, and the audience is moving around, so there's no sense of top or bottom, so that's a challenge straight away with using photography, which obviously kind of has an up and down, a sky or a ground. And I was really keen generally for the visuals not to be very arresting and lots of synced up stuff, because I think it's really important as a member of the audience to let your imagination take part in the performance as well, and not just be spoon-fed kind of the imagery throughout.
Yeah, and I think even though there's so many different influences, it's amazing how evocative the music is of the landscape.
It's weird. For ages I wasn't sure whether I was justified by pinning a piece on this idea of following the watercourse backwards without choosing a specific watercourse.
Yeah, I think from the very creation of the music we had in mind this journey from the sea to the mountains.
So people kept asking me, is it based on, is it the old, is it the Deben, is it, and telling people about it back home in Cumbria, like asking me which watercourse, and I didn't have an answer, because in my head the imagery has been just a kind of an imaginary journey that kind of encompasses our sense of a place rather than a specific kind of geographical region.
You'd sort of think, how on earth can a, sort of jazz set up in a sack but say something about a river, but it really does.
You try to give what you think a river, like a heavy river, should sound like.
It's been nice to hear how people with very different voices have kind of gone up to other people in breaks and been chatting about what they like about the way another person plays.
But it's really lovely to hear the folk influence a lot, and jazz. I'm sitting next to the trumpeter, so I hear a lot of improvised jazz happening as well, which is so unusual and brilliant.
I think it's really unusual to have folk fiddle and classical sort of style in the same group, isn't it? It's really, I don't know of any groups who do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a core of classical-based musicians, but also this mix of, because I also come from classical, but I play jazz as well, and Charlie's folk fiddle, then with some classical string quartet, which makes the string section sort of really unique, I think.
Do you find that you have to work in a different way for that?
I think it's really interesting how it influences, how we play, because trying to match the style, or perhaps playing. So hearing Charlie, the way she'll play something, and then if it gets passed on to us.
But I love how it sort of doesn't have to match.
Yeah,
actually.
exactly.
I think it's the way the material kind of travels through the group, and Charlie will play this beautiful folk tune, and then we'll take it and we'll do something slightly different with it.
It seems to completely break down those particular boundaries.
I think this is a particularly beautiful project. Jack is a really clever person, and he's really talented and really driven and really creative, and he's found a lovely group of people. I think one of his talents is choosing, just the right people.
We're doing it because we enjoy it and we want to do it, rather than, doing it for money or other things, really. It's kind of, this is like the most fulfilling part, really.
I've never heard a sound like we're getting.
Beautiful thing, just what musicians should be doing.
And it'll be nice, because as we perform it more and more, I think it'll just kind of become something of its own.